Hello and welcome back to KXAN Plus. Thanks so much for joining us. If you're joining us live, happy Sunday and happy Halloween, which just passed. We are here today with our Tommy's travel forecast with KXAN meteorologist Tommy House. Tommy, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I look so red in this.
The lighting is kind of
It's okay.
off today.
I promise I'm not sunburned, but you know what? I'm doing well. It's been a great weekend. We were just talking about Halloween. How was your Halloween?
My Halloween was quiet. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted to have a lot of trick-or-treaters, but not a lot of folks went out during trick-or-treating in my neighborhood.
Okay, so you got candy, right, to hand out. What were the candy kinds?
Actually, I was handing out Rice Krispie treats and Pokemon cards.
Whoa. Okay, that's unique in a good way. A lot of people just have like the basics. We had.
What did you have? Because I heard what you had.
What should I say? No, I'm kidding. I had a bunch of candy, right? We put out a bowl of candy. But as a joke, I put out some other stuff that was in my pantry. I was like, y'all want some canned soup or something? And I left it. The kids hated it because nobody took any. But I was like, I'm just going to throw this out anyway. Y'all
As they should. Why
yeah.
would they grab a canned soup to take in their little bags for trick-or-treating?
Campbell's slap sometimes. It's good. Look, I'll rank it. Candy at the top, right? And then we'll put some soup here.
I don't think
toothbrushes at the bottom.
No. I think soup is at the bottom, and then toothpaste is kind of in the middle because you do need that.
Some soup lovers would disagree, but to a valid point, I will say. Yeah, and then we went as a Hawaiian punch, so I had a Hawaiian shirt on, and then a boxing glove, but it was like a super cheap Five and Below boxing glove, so. It wasn't really that cool of a costume.
It sounds funny. It was clever.
I was gonna go as Harry Potter, but I got like my hair cut short because when it gets long, it doesn't look good for TV. So I had to get it super short. So there goes my costume there. But
you couldn't be Harry Potter this year. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna be talking about some travel forecasts or something to do with traveling this weekend. What do you think is interrupting travel for us in the U.S. this week?
Yeah, great question. There's not a lot. We've been doing this for months, and this is probably one of the most quiet weather patterns we're entering. One of the big reasons why, Esme, is when you look at the clouds and radar here, there's not a lot going on. I'll draw it for you. Big old surface high pressure, even at the upper levels too. And these highs, right, they cause that sinking air. So plenty of blue sky. Not a lot of rain, and what we'll eventually see is through the next few days, all the action is going to get steered up through the Northwest, the Midwest, and then eventually the Northeast, and that leaves Texas very dry. So I have no rain in my 7-day forecast.
For us here locally.
No, for us here locally, and I
Good thing we did see some rain last night, because
Yeah.
I think that's enough for what we're gonna see for the next couple weeks.
And it honestly looks like that. And I hate to be the guy that's like, I don't think we're going to see rain for most of the month, but at least the first week to 2 weeks, it's looking very dry and warmer than normal. I have several 80-degree days in my 7 days, so definitely not the most active weather pattern, but we can still have some fun talking about if people are traveling, where they're going to and from.
We did have some ground delays for some reason this morning here in Austin. I don't think it had anything to do with weather, but that was a big delay from, I think, the morning till 1 p.m. I think that's the only thing impacting travel here in Austin locally.
Yeah, I can think of, there was some patchy fog because of the moisture, and then our front moved through. It was a weak front, but it could have been the fog. It wasn't dense enough to where we had dense fog advisories, but we had special weather statements, which just means, hey, patchy fog. So I think maybe that plus some shortages, but the weather is crystal clear, beyond those delays. Weather-wise, there shouldn't be anything going on. The only place that has some sort of activity is the Southeast. And
the tropics.
Tropics completely done. I think I'm going to say it. Hurricane season ends the end of November. Very good confidence that we won't see any other big storms in the Atlantic. The more fronts we get through the Gulf and swing through the Southeast, that is just statistically a lower chance we'll see any sort of direct impacts or landfall. And I don't see anything in the Caribbean right now, which is where climatologically we would see any sort of new storms. But this is just a few showers, not even severe weather, Esme, just some light rain for like
storms.
Yeah, and this is fine. This the same system we had moved through yesterday, so it's always about a day later where we get something that The southeast gets something just kind of gray and dreary there. And then up toward the northeast, a little more sunshine.
What goes into your
Yeah.
thoughts behind deciding if the tropics are done
Mhm.
for this year? How do you come up with that?
Yeah, excellent question. So, a few different things. One, we look for what are the steering patterns and steering influences. Several fronts that are down again in the Gulf and the Caribbean help because the fronts steer away any sort of potential storm that would develop. Also, just looking for the favorable environments. There's not a lot of there's a lot of dry air in parts of the Atlantic Basin, and there's not any sort of clusters of showers and storms that the National Hurricane Center is looking at either at this moment. Now, we could see something, although it gets very rare once you head toward the end of November for something to develop. At least for now, though, the National Hurricane Center, zero. I mean, there's nothing. And when you look at the satellite, there's really not too much going on here. So this is through the next 7 days. And even then, there's just, maybe a little bit of some showers and storms out in the Atlantic. But most of the action that forms in November is kind of like in this area. And even then, the only place that I'm like, oh, Esme, this could bring something, I would say this little blip that's down there, some showers and
A
storms.
little bit heavier than the others, right?
Yeah, but National Hurricane Center is not watching it. Just not enough time for that to develop. So things are overall looking smooth. And that's a great question because now we're entering a season where we're seeing a lot of big active dips in the jet stream, that could bring some cold air and then with severe weather, right? The clashing of the air masses and with the La Nina setup that we're entering, we get more dry and warm, but we could still see some big time storms and even winter storms through the next few months.
And that's what we're feeling here in Central Texas. It's been a little chilly. I feel like we're already
Yeah.
in a winter storm.
Yeah. And it's crazy what seasonable temperatures can do, right? Because it's been so warm in October. We're finally having some cooler weather and cooler seasonable, like just seasonable. Like right now, we're where we should be for high temps. And this is the temperature anomaly. So the blue is colder than normal. And notice that's much of the southeast.
That's us, yeah.
Yep. But by the middle half of the week, let's see if I can play this out. Let's just drop this by Tuesday.
We warm up here in Central
We
Texas.
warm up, and then look, most of the lower 48 is staying significantly warmer. Not a lot of big dips in the jet stream through the next 7 days. Maybe toward Friday into Saturday when our next low pressure is going to make its way into the northwest, and that could bring some cooler temps, but Texas itself, warmer than normal.
That's right. Maybe that could impact some travel plans. If you were planning to travel somewhere to get some little fall or winter weather, you probably won't get it this week.
That's an excellent point because like the travel forecast, we focus on like hurricanes or big severe weather, but temperatures are also an important part of traveling. So warmer than normal this week. Some computer models beyond the next 7 days are bringing in some cold shots and maybe even some snow for some places up in the Northeast and Midwest. It gets a little bit too wonky beyond the next 7 days, and we'll walk you through those computer models here in the next few minutes in my forecast. But if you look at the rainfall through the next 7, once this loads up here, it takes a second with this graphic. So this is the National Weather Service's computer model through the next 7 days. You'll notice nothing in Texas, nothing all the way up toward the Dakotas. Where you're seeing the most amount of rain is way up toward the Pacific Northwest, and that's because they're getting an atmospheric river, which is a conveyor belt of moisture, bringing some heavy rain for California, Oregon, Washington, and some snow. That's the big weather maker. I mean, even up in the Northeast, they got maybe just a little bit of some rain up toward, New York or even like, ooh, that arrow's going crazy. We always get a fun little technical blip here. The Midwest, Ohio River Valley.
All of that area, that whole side of the U.S.
Yeah, and there's just nothing here. I mean, we're talking at least from the Dakotas to Texas. We're talking over 1,000 miles of
dry,
no rain, dry, and that's going to make our drought worse. Our drought is not great right now.
Tommy, did the rain that we saw earlier in October and yesterday help with the drought a little?
Yeah, great question. So every Thursday, the drought monitor comes out. So the rain we had yesterday, we don't know how that would impact. Not a lot, a few hundredths of an inch. But the late October, so not this weekend, but the weekend prior when we had that line of storms move through, we went from that level 3 out of 4 to a 2 out of 4.
Oh, Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that red's gone. There are the reds on the left-hand side. That was from the third week of October. The one that most recent is the last week of October's drought monitor update. And, Lampasas, San Saba, nice little out of the drought for now. We'll have to see how that changes, though. And, like I said, when not a lot of rain coming in through the next 7 days, I expect, at least in some places, a worsening of a drought here in Central Texas.
Tommy, what about the temperatures here in Central Texas? I know we're going to be warming up a little bit throughout this week, but are we hitting triple digits again?
No, thankfully no. I think upper 80s, and that's still way warmer than normal. Even some low 90s would be record
I
breaking.
will take those, of course.
The blue H is where you want to look for the warmth in the dry air, and you'll see as I play this out through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Kind of stays over us.
exactly, Esme, right. And we have a very zonal flow expected. A zonal flow means that, there's no big dips in the jet stream, so it's very just stagnant, bland, and boring, and that's exactly what I think is going to be happening. And then maybe toward the later half of next week, we talked about the possibility of there being that big dip in the jet stream for the East Coast, and that would allow...
Wow, that's a big dip.
It's a big dip. Some of the blues there, that's some cooler temperature, so that would be potentially... a change in the weather pattern, but not for us. We're going to be kind of stuck in this for the time being.
Well, if you want to feel those type of temperatures, just make a trip up there.
Make a little trip.
Make a little trip, and we'll let you know if your travel plans will work accordingly that weekend.
Yeah, and this is just a 48-hour radar loop here, but let's get this going, and I'll show you through the next... I'm dragging this with the mouse instead because I want to stop at certain spots. Let's start tomorrow into the afternoon hours. A little bit of some showers for the New England area, but again, plenty of just dry air and sunshine for most of the lower 48. And then look out toward California. That's our next low pressure system that will eventually...
Got some rain in that.
Yeah, right. Going to bring some beneficial rain for Northern California, but, not a lot. And if I go back completely and just press this through the next 48 hours, kind of the same pattern that's just going to be continuing. So we'll have to hope for some big changes here locally beyond the next week, but things are going to be looking very calm and quiet for now.
And you said that we weren't expecting much rainfall here locally. Do you know when the next time we could expect some rain could be?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Beyond the next 7 days, not seeing much, computer model accuracy, like the data we take in and then I make a forecast, it gets a little bit inaccurate beyond 7 days. Obviously, there are some accuracy there, but within 7 days, that's the forecast period. And even in that 7 days, there's nothing. And beyond that, I don't have anything. So I would say if I were to be just a full-on just guessing game flat out.
Well, what's the regular rainfall amount for the month of November here in Central Texas?
Yeah, not nearly as rainy as October. Somewhere, I believe, between 2 and 3 inches of rain. So,
well, we definitely didn't see as much rain as we were supposed to in October.
Yeah, we saw about 2.7 inches in October, and that fell all in that 48-hour time frame from Friday to Saturday. And then it was dry. It was dry. Like the entire month was dry and warm. So, I think we should be able to get some beneficial storms. It just depends, right? If we get, let's play this out here. If we see through the next, 5 to 7 days, this high pressure, that blue H stick right overhead, I mean, that's going to be no rain at all, right? But if we move through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you see how there's a little bit of a dip in the jet stream.
It moves, the high pressure moves a little farther out from us?
Yes, absolutely. And if that happens, what we can see is we got this big trough digging in deep through the southern plains, and that could bring some sort of action in rain. It's going to stay most likely to the north. Now, if that low pressure system was about a few hundred miles south and we saw something through the Red River Valley, I would say we're going to get some big time rain here in Central Texas. I don't see that right now because of the position of that low pressure system sticking up toward the northern plains, but if you're flying up to the Midwest and Northeast, I would say in this area that I would draw, I would be on the lookout. That was a terrible drawing.
I was trying to figure out what you were drawing.
I would say if you live up in that area, just highlighting several thousand miles. But yeah, I mean, you could be seeing at least a change in the weather pattern by the late half of this week.
Interesting. Well, Tommy,
I wish I had more to say about Texas weather, but hey, 5 o'clock, we'll go more in depth on that, right?
Yeah, and we're kind of looking at the big picture in case anyone is
Yeah.
traveling to other areas of the country.
hmm
Tommy, when do we normally see the first freeze here in Central
I'm so glad you asked. I put out an Instagram reel about it,
Texas?
and a lot of people love it because they want the colder temps, right? And I'm with you. There's even somebody who says I have a cold weather bias. I don't have a cold weather bias. I just am so sick of the heat. I think most people are.
Yeah, we are.
Um, our average first freeze is late November, early December in Austin. Now, I know a lot of y'all don't live in Austin, so you can find where you live with the color coded. I would say east of I 35, late November, early November, out towards San Saba. In several counties, Esme already had their first freeze.
Yeah, I heard over this past week.
Yeah,
Right?
so like San Saba, portions of Llano, Gillespie, Mason, even down toward Fayette County, which is southeast, had some low 30s, closer to the coast. But Austin, no, we hit upper 30s at the airport and low 40s at Camp Mabry. We use Camp Mabry for Austin climatology. So November for now looks
Late
warm.
November,
but-
maybe December.
Right. It just takes, again, that big dip in the jet stream, send down some air. And La Ninas, yeah, they're warmer than normal typically, but some of the biggest snow events we've ever had here were La Nina winters.
Yeah.
Like the unfortunate Snowmageddon. Even last year was a La Nina. Remember, we got some snow.
Yeah, we
so-
did get some snow. We were out there trying to get some pictures of it.
Yeah, right. And so I think obviously we'll have a winter. It's not going to be 80s through the winter months. Probably warmer than normal. But, that first freeze will come eventually. I think the past few years it's been later in the month of December, but just takes that big blast and then boom, right? You start seeing some 30s widespread.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of different changes in our pattern here in Austin, so we never know. Just be prepared, right?
Never know, right? Always be prepared and enjoy some of the sunshine. This isn't a bad thing. 80s, yeah, they're a little bit annoying for some who were sick of the warmth, but it's pleasant. Like today was a perfect day.
Beautiful morning.
And then now with the later sunset times, you can get out in the morning.
Yeah,
go
that
for a
felt
morning
so
walk.
good to wake up on time and then see that you still had an extra hour.
Yeah, that was great. I really enjoy that. And the sunset tonight, 5:42. So it's already starting to get a little bit darker. I see over your shoulder the Austonian camera there. Yeah. We're beginning to see the sun.
We're
The
beginning
next
to
hour
see
or
the sun.
two go down. So are you a fan of that, by the way?
Seeing the sun go down sooner?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the time of year
Okay.
that I would want it to happen in, but it only happens on one time of year. And
Yeah.
during the winter, not so much. I'd rather be out more when it's cold and have like light out while it's cold instead of the darkness because then it gets even colder.
Yeah, I love it.
You
But
like the dark?
well, I like when the sun sets earlier because I have to wake up early Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So my day starts at 5:30. So when I'm going to bed at like 8, 9 o'clock, it's nice to kind of start getting into that zone a little bit
To
earlier.
feel like it's actually time to sleep, right?
Yeah, but for the normal 9 to 5ers, I get it. You want to get out and you want to go do stuff, and but the morning sunrise is nice too.
Yeah.
Start seeing some sun. But yeah, winter's coming. I already set up my holiday stuff.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
You took down the Halloween stuff?
Tree's up.
The tree?
The tree's decorated.
It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
Turkey's kind of mid. I like it. Maybe I just never had a good cooked turkey. No offense, Mom. She's a good cook.
She's
I'm
probably
just
watching
saying, some
this.
people fry their turkeys and they do all the fancy stuff to make it taste good. We would just throw it in the oven. Maybe it's a little dry. I don't. Maybe that's
It's a
why.
little dry.
I'm
Well-
disrespecting. She makes great mashed potatoes. We'll say that.
She's gonna make you cook that turkey this year.
I'm
Just
going
watch.
up to Boston too. Right now, I'm going to be stuck with turkey, dude. It's an all day thing. That's the other thing. It's like Thanksgiving lovers. Y'all cook the turkey takes all day to make. You know what?
Sometimes 2 days.
That's crazy. I'm an instant gratification. I want to just have the food, make the food in like an hour and eat it. But maybe good things wait, right? That's what
Yeah,
people say.
that's
Good
why
things
it
wait.
takes so much time because it tastes so good.
If you don't take it out of like the freezer, it takes like 4 days to thaw or something. I don't know. I'm biased.
You're
but-
biased with temperatures
Yep.
and
Yeah,
with
cold weather bias over here.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Mr. Christmas over here. But yeah, I'm glad we're in the November month for sure, weather-wise.
Yeah. All the burn months are my favorite.
Burr months are great. That and like the springtime too.
Yeah, the spring is great. You have a blog up on our website, KXAN.com, and it's titled Hot and Dry in Texas, Active Pattern for Some.
Yes.
What are some other things that you put in here that we didn't touch?
Yeah,
on?
so graphics for the visual learners, write up about what's happening with who's going to be getting rain, who's not. Tropic update. why I think that we won't see much rain here in Texas through the next week. And 5 o'clock on KXAN, 9 o'clock on the CW, and after the game at 10, or on KXAN, probably around 10:30, 11 when we'll get on after Sunday Night Football. We'll have more of your local forecast, but this is just big picture stuff. Hoping for some more stuff to talk about next week. That's not just sunny and dry, but, we'll take it 1 week at a time here.
Yeah, we're brainstorming on other topics that are related to traveling but aren't so much about the weather.
Yeah.
And we'll have those for you all soon. Tommy, if anyone wants to shoot you a message or give you a tip about weather patterns, where can they do that?
Hopefully a good message. I just type my name, any social media, Facebook, Instagram, X as they say.
X.
Email. Hopefully email some good things if my manager's looped in on there. But hey, listen, this is an ongoing, constantly changing show. We haven't had a consistent episode yet, but it's always been fun. So thanks, Esme.
Yeah, it's always different. Thank you, Tommy. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you.